Hi everyone, Gabi here from Create Your Future. I am a master NLP practitioner, an EFT coach, a mindset shifting coach, and a law of assumption coach here at Create Your Future. And I am so glad to have you here where we dive every week deep into how to figure out the law of assumption and make it work for you in your life. Really quickly, just want to share a couple of my offerings. I currently have affirmation tracks that are available for sale. I just want to highlight a career affirmation track that I currently have available. So I just had a client reach out to me that shared with me that she has been working on manifesting. You're going to love this, guys. A new promotion job title with a salary increase for over a year. She actually kept seeing everybody else around her getting promoted and getting salary increases. And she purchased my affirmation track. And within 5 days, she got a new job title, a promotion, and an increase in her salary of over 30,000 US dollars. So go check that out. Okay. That is in the description box below. Also, if you are looking for a one-on-one plan, a guided plan, individualized just for you to help you figure out how to make the law of assumption work for you and how do you consciously create, well, go ahead and book a one-on-one session with me. I'm so happy to work with you. Last but not least, we are still offering a free course on how to identify your blocks. That's in the description box below. So go ahead and check that out. Okay, so we are going to dig today into something that I get asked about all the time. Specifically, when you are consciously creating, why is it that sometimes you manifest the opposite, like my client who purchased my affirmation track? Or why is it that you only get a partial manifestation? Or you start to see everyone around you get your manifestations, okay? So why am I seeing what everyone else is getting, what I want? Why am I not getting my manifestation? Why am I manifesting the opposite of what I'm currently focusing on? Or even just a partial manifestation. So if that's what you've been wondering about, this video is for you. We're going to break it all down. Okay. So I've got some notes here. So just want to talk about this. First, I'm going to start by saying that if you're seeing the opposite of your manifestation or only parts of what you want, don't freak out. I promise you, this happens to pretty much all of us at some point in our manifestation journey. And it's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's just a part of the manifestation process, especially when we have deeply ingrained beliefs or stories around what we want. For example, Neville Goddard talks about the bridge of instance and talks about how your manifestation will actually unfold in the path of least resistance, meaning that whatever beliefs you hold to be naturally true for you, that is how your manifestation will unfold. So if you believe that you can walk into work tomorrow and be promoted, then guess what? Your manifestation will naturally unfold that way. However, if you believe that you can't be promoted until you have your annual review, your manifestation will unfold that way. Okay. This is part of the bridge of incidence and the path of least resistance. Essentially, basically, what it means is that when you start to see partial manifestations or the opposite of what you are focusing on, bringing into your 3D reality, you are literally purging your old version of you. Okay. And I want to use purge lightly. That is a term that we hear a lot. What you're doing is you're shifting. You are moving from the old version of you into the new version of you. Okay. The new version of you who already has your desire. And in order to do that, just like a butterfly has to start off as a caterpillar and emerge from a cocoon, or a snake has to shed their skin, or a spider, like a tarantula, has to shed their skin, what you're doing is the same thing. The new version of you has to move through this space. Okay. And so when you start to see things that are opposite or things that are partial or other people around you that are getting exactly what you want or similar to what you want, it's okay. Okay. I really want to clarify this. It is okay. All right. So let's think about it in terms like this. If you have spent years believing that money is scarce, it's hard to make, it doesn't like grow on trees, it doesn't come to you easily, etc., and you start affirming, I am abundant, I am wealthy, money always comes to me, then what happens is the old beliefs about money being hard to come to you, scarce, that sort of thing can show up before they completely leave. Meaning, the old version of you who still holds on to those stories can still show up in parts of your 3D reality until you have completely shifted into the new version of you. Okay? This is why we say persist. This is why Neville says persist. And so it's really, really important for you to maintain the new version of you. And when the opposite shows up, like losing your job or getting hit with like unexpected bills or anything like that, or even in relationships, right? If you're manifesting you and a specific person coming back together, or you are manifesting a third party leaving, and then all of a sudden you see your SP is now no longer in contact with you, or the third party in your SP have now become more serious. These things are all part of your old version of you, the old story that you were holding. Beliefs, story, resistance, they're all the same thing. The old story that you were holding as the old version of you is still going to trickle in until you've completely shifted to the new version of you. Okay. And the other thing is to think about is that, and if you've heard some of my videos before, you've heard me talk a lot about Neville. Neville talks a lot about how your fears, your doubts, and your worries are really just your God self not having or thinking it doesn't have control, right? And so if you don't have control, what happens is you become easily moldable by your 3D circumstances and conditions. If you're afraid, if you're worrying, if you're doubting, it literally makes you like a chess piece that you can be moved around on a board. Okay? Don't be a chess piece. Instead, persist in the new story. Persist in the thoughts of the new version of you. This is why the tool that I have given my clients around, hey, ask yourself, who am I right now? What version of me am I being? And then returning to the thoughts of the version of you who already has your desire helps you maintain that persistence mode. It keeps you going back to the new story. It keeps you going back and shifting back to the new version of you. Okay. So really and truly persist. Don't give up. That's a big one right there. And don't let the opposite around you, your 3D circumstances and your 3D conditions, trick you into thinking that it is not working. The law of assumption is universal. That means there are no exceptions. It works for everyone and everything at all times. Okay. And not only that, it is something you do naturally, 24/7, 7 days a week, right? You totally 100% are manifesting at all times. You are selecting just by what you are thinking, what you are experiencing in your reality. Oftentimes, we are operating on automatic mode. So we are automatically selecting what we are experiencing. Those times when we've decided, based off of a catalyst event, right? Something that was a catalyst for us, an SP leaving, losing a job, not having enough money in our account to pay bills, etc. Those things are catalyst events. And so based on those, we start to recognize, I don't want to be here. I want to be here. And in order to get here, I have to start telling a new story. I have to make new selections. Okay. That's when you consciously start to select rather than selecting on automatic mode. As you're consciously selecting, a lot of that automatic selection is still happening, okay? So you have to shift into that new version of you who is consciously selecting until that becomes your automatic version, okay? All right. Oh, sorry, guys. I don't know exactly what happened there. For some reason, Google just decided to ask me if I was still here. So I apologize for that. Okay, so let me just go back to my notes really quickly just to make sure. Okay, so the other thing that I want to talk about is specifically partial manifestations, okay? If you've been affirming for a new car and the neighbor that is next to you suddenly gets a new car, the exact model, the exact, like everything on it that you want, Okay. I want you to recognize that that is not a partial or a failed manifestation. Okay. We oftentimes refer to partial manifestations. It's not a partial or a failed manifestation. It truly is a sign that you are shifting. Okay. So remember, I've said this to you before. We don't manifest what we want. We manifest what we believe to be true. So instead of making it mean that because your neighbor got the car that you want with all the bells and whistles, that means it is a partial manifestation or a failed manifestation. Instead of making it mean that, instead make it mean, I'm on the right track. I'm starting to see that in my reality, meaning I must be shifting. And if I'm shifting, that means that my manifestation is here. My manifestation is unfolding now. Okay. So it's really, really important that we really change our language and our understanding of partial or failed manifestations. Okay. They're not partial. They're not failed. Okay. It means your manifestation is unfolding. Give yourself that power back, guys. Come on. All right. Okay. So let's get a little bit into the quantum physics of this, okay? I have said to you before that you are the only one in your reality, period. You are your own individualized point of consciousness, okay? And because of that, you are the only one who has the power to make selections in your reality. You're the only one who decides what can show up in your reality or not in your reality. That being said, if your neighbor has a car that matches what you are currently consciously selecting for yourself, then you need to be telling yourself, I'm selecting it. I know I'm selecting it because I see it right there. The next selection now is going to be mine. The keys are in my hand. Okay. All right. All right. I want you to think about it in the sense of Neville's terminology around awareness. Neville says what you put your attention or your awareness on is what maintains or sustains in your reality. So think about this. If a new car that you are manifesting for yourself shows up in your neighbor's driveway, it is now in your field of awareness, right? It's in your field of awareness. And so don't stop then and say, didn't work. They got the car. I didn't. Don't do that. Instead, keep going, persist, keep reminding yourself, okay, it's in my field of awareness, meaning I've made that selection. I've made that selection. I just have to keep making that selection because it's kind of like, okay, well, Amazon delivered the box to the wrong to the wrong door, right? The package got delivered to the wrong door. But if I contact Amazon, then the package is going to get delivered to me. So it's kind of the same thing. The way that you contact Amazon or contact your conscious creator, reality generator self is to maintain that persistence. Keep going back to the version of you who already has your desire. Keep going back to this is me of who has my desire. These are the thoughts that I have, and keep making those selections over and over and over again. Okay. This is why it is so important to stay in the version of you who has your desire. This is why it is so important to think from the version of you who has your desire. This is something that I've actually been talking about quite a bit in the last couple of weeks with my clients. And it's about really moving into the version of you who has your desire from thinking from the version of you that has your desire, meaning let's go to the end. Now, I'm sure you've heard that before. I know before I started coaching, I heard that a lot too. And I was like, well, what does that even mean? Go to the end. Okay. So we want to go to the place where your desire is natural for you, meaning you've had it long enough that it is just a part of who you are every day. Okay. Now I'm going to use a relationship for this example because I think it's one example that is probably the most easy to explain this. If you are in a relationship and you've been in that relationship for 3 years, okay, and you live together, you share your day in and day out together, you cook dinner together, you go shopping on the weekend for groceries together, you have dinner with friends, you go to each other's family events, etc. It is natural for you in that 3-year relationship to be thinking thoughts such as, hey, I'm in this really great relationship. Like, I have a really supportive partner. I love that we like a lot of the same things. One of my favorite things to do is come home and cook dinner together so that we can reconnect after a long day. Those are the thoughts that you're going to have naturally when you are in that relationship in a natural way. Okay. Meaning you've had it for a while. Those are the types of thoughts you're going to have. Oftentimes when we are manifesting a relationship, we go to thinking of the relationship. I would love that that person always tells me they love me. It's so wonderful that that person is showing up with flowers. It's so wonderful that we will be going on dates. It's so wonderful that or I am so excited that I'm going to experience this. Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference? When you think of the desire, you're planning it. It's not natural. You don't already have it. Okay. So you're thinking about it. You're planning it. You're putting it out into the future in the sense of it will happen when this happens, etc. I tell my clients, it's like when you're thinking of the relationship or your desire as like a rom-com movie, okay? Or like a Hallmark Channel movie. You're thinking of it. You're not thinking from it. When you start thinking from it, it becomes natural for you. That is the new identity to shift into. You shift into the identity or the version of you who has your desire. You shift to the thoughts of what it's like to have it and have had it for a long time. And when you do that, all of a sudden, you realize, I've had it all along. And then it shows up in your 3D because you believe it to be real for you. You believe that's who you are. You believe that when you describe who you are not just the person who is manifesting a promotion and manifesting a new job title and manifesting a new salary. No, you believe this is my job title. This is who I am. I show up every day. I am able to, I'll use a girl example. I am able to every 2 weeks go and get my nails done and it not matter to me how much it costs. I'm able every 2 weeks to go and get a massage done and not worry about what it costs. I am able to go book a flight for a 2-day weekend just wherever I want to go because I have the extra money to do it. And it doesn't matter what it costs. I'm that person now. Okay. When you start to move into those thoughts of this is who I am now, this is the version of me that has these things, it becomes who you are. It becomes part of your identity. And once you have made it part of your identity, you have accepted it as real for you. And that is how it pushes out. Okay. So I want to go back to talking about the opposite and talking about partial manifestations. I know I kind of got on a tangent there, but I want to answer a question. I had a client ask me, why is this happening? Why is the opposite showing up? And I want to be very clear with you. When I said earlier that we are auto-selecting for most of what we're experiencing, that means our thoughts are in a behavioral pattern. And when you see the opposite showing up, it just means that your mind is used to that old version of you. It's used to that. They're, however you want to use the pronoun, it's used to that, okay? It's used to that behavioral robotic auto-selective pattern. And so your mind, your brain is trying to pull you back into that story because it's comfortable, right? And I want to address this because, as I mentioned before, we are God selves. We're made of the same thing that God is made out of, the universe, the galaxy, whatever you want to title it, whatever you want to call that being or that power. We are the same. Okay, we're made from the same. We're made from stardust, and we have the wonderful opportunity to be a part of this 3D reality in a dual existence. Our God self experiences this 3D self through this human avatar. And this human avatar has been conditioned by society, family, your experiences before you knew who you are. It has been conditioned to hold old stories or old versions on auto-selective mode. And so your old version or human self is really just going back to that auto selection. And this is why the persistence is so important, which is why I wanted to circle back to this, is it goes to familiarity until you've moved to what you believe to be naturally true for you. Okay. And it's just saying, hey, this is what you used to think. This is the pattern we used to have. This is really who you used to be. And this is all the reasons why you are not the version you're telling yourself that you are now. Okay. And so it's just this auto-selective behavioral pattern. And I want to be very clear about this. This isn't sabotage. This isn't the universe deciding that it's not divine timing. This isn't you deciding, oh, I'm not going to get what I want, unless, of course, you say that and you believe it to be true. This is really and truly the process of moving from the old version of you into the new version of you, the old automatic auto-selective version of you to the new intentional selective version of you. That's really what the process is. And it's really and truly an opportunity for you to say, oh, you're right. I used to think that. I used to believe that is who I was, but I don't believe that anymore. I'm now choosing this for me. I am now choosing to show up as this for me, okay? And it's really important that you don't panic, you don't freak out, you don't sit here and say, oh, like I've got more work to do or whatever. You don't need to do that. You've already cleared the path to what you desire. You just need to keep returning to the version of you and the story of the you that already has that. Okay? All right. So I think we're good on that. If you are good on that, I want you to go ahead and give me a light bulb in the comment section below. Okay? Give me a light bulb. All right. Okay. So we're going to touch on now, going back to that individualized point of consciousness and that you are the only power in your reality. You're also the only individual in your reality. You alone exist in your reality. And because you alone exist in your reality, you get to decide how you show up over and over and over again, which is why it's so important to stay loyal to this new version of who you are. It's so important for you to decide and to keep selecting intentionally, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. So whether you are working on consciously selecting money, consciously selecting a new job, career, relationship, health, home, whatever, I want you to hear me when I say this. If you see it around you, if it's showing up in your awareness, that means it's happening for you. You just have to keep going and not tell yourself that it means you're not getting what you want. Instead, you need to tell yourself, it's showing up in my reality. That means I'm getting what I want. It's showing up in my reality. That means I've made the selection. I just need to keep going back to Amazon and saying, hey, Amazon chatbot, guess what? Wrong house, right package, right? So you do that by just persisting in the new story, persisting in the version of you who already has your desire, going to the thoughts from the version of you who already has your desire, okay? And when you start to do that and these old stories and old beliefs start to kind of trickle down and fade away, you just have to remind yourself that you get to choose what it means, right? So it's trickling away and you get to decide, does this mean I'm getting what I want or does this mean I'm not? This is why when you ask yourself, am I coming from the version of me who has my desire or am I not? You get to make a choice in that moment. And then the next choice that you make is to move to the version of you who has your desire, right? And you do that by persisting. And you just persist in that new story and really and truly tell yourself, you know what? This showing up out here, the old story showing up out here, the questioning, hey, this is what you used to believe. Do I still believe this? This all showing up out here. This is just proof that my manifestation is unfolding. This just means that I am selecting accurately. I am truly selecting consciously what I desire. I am on that path. I am down that journey. And then it means that my manifestation is unfolding right now. Okay? All right. Make sure, guys, as always, have fun with it. Stay lighthearted. Don't make everything mean doom and gloom. Don't panic. Don't freak out. Make it mean that you're always getting what you want. Make it mean that everything's unfolding right now, in exactly the right way for you. Make sure that you are reminding yourself of that. Stay focused. Stay focused on the new version of you. Stay loyal to the new version of you. Tell yourself this is all part of the process. Tell yourself that everything's fine, everything's working out for you. And just trust. Trust that your God self has this, because they do. They've been selecting consciously for a long time before your human self showed up. So just remind yourself that you've got this, okay? All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me this week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and please, please, please hit that bell so you don't miss out on more content like this. I will see you next week. Bye.